Tesla stock right over here. We talked about in our last update that basically what we were seeing and the update that we gave was on the 11th. And we said that this was a sneaky and the most bullish signal that I've seen from Tesla stock. Yo, how's it going? It's Market Scraper. So like I talked about in both of my last updates, I've been seeing the most bullish signs and arguably somewhat sneaky, but basically the most bullish signs I've been seeing for Tesla stock for quite some time. And this has been for good reason as we saw a huge move to the upside. And so this is pretty exciting. I didn't expect us to blast through this line of resistance that I've been expecting from the highs over here. So that's been pretty exciting, but we can see basically now we broke to the upside. And is this going to hold or are we going to break down back below this trend line is the next question here. And why did we have somewhat of a sell-off over here? Well, we had somewhat of a sell-off here basically because in the infrastructure bill that had bipartisan agreement that's being agreed on so far and worked on, one of the components that people were expecting to see there was basically some EV credits for sales of EVs. Basically, if you want to buy an EV, a new car that was built in the US, we were expecting to potentially get up to 10,000 in a rebate basically. So this was not included in that bill. So Tesla is going to be a beneficiary to some of the other components on the energy side, absolutely. But basically, if you gave Tesla $10,000 off per car, you'd basically create, in my opinion, this unlimited demand essentially for a long time. Basically, if you had the option to buy Tesla at parity for a price of another car, an ICE car, a hybrid car, whatever it may be, why would people not pick the Tesla is the question basically. So they didn't have that. Tesla's demand is strong right now, regardless of that happening or not happening. So it's not too much, and it's not something that's going to be critical for the overarching story and the long-term growth story for the stock anyway. But that is something that maybe traders and especially short-term traders were expecting and did not see. So we can see basically if that continues basically on Monday or something, or if this gets shaken off. Because, and I think on a technical perspective, I'm expecting some consolidation and maybe even a move to the upside still. And so again, you have to factor in the news that's happening as well. But basically, we had a lot of consolidation, and I don't think that this move to the upside is quite done yet. Now, from things to look for on the upside, though, we do have this area that was once support. This, and not only was this an area of support for those instances, this was a line that was support for quite some time. So this is basically the value line of Tesla stock in the past. It's been used for quite some time. So this is an area that I don't think we're going to blast just as easily through unless there's some like crazy FSD news for Tesla stock or something like that. But this is something that we will probably see some resistance, and for short-term traders this could be an interesting area to be looking at. And also if you're selling covered calls, this is an interesting just a line to be aware of. So that's something that I'm personally watching. None of this is financial advice. And before we get any further in this video, get any value from this content, don't forget to put a smash down on the like button. It really helps this content. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel. I'd really appreciate that. Okay, so we can see that basically we are consolidating to the side so far. Again, like I said, I think that I'd expect to move to the upside or just consolidating more. And so we do have that short-term, somewhat negative news attached to the infrastructure bill of not having the EV credit. So this was a drag. We can see if it lasts again. I think we could definitely see another touch on this trend line here. Maybe Tesla stock will want to fill the gap even at some point, so we could break down below it and then go back to the upside. So I would definitely be watching out for a filling of this gap because of the uncertainty and that news. That's something that I would look to the downside for and to the upside. And one other gap I guess we should be paying attention to is a gap that looks like that was created right over here. So it is definitely possible we see a move to the downside before a move back to the upside. I don't know how likely that is to fill down here. I don't think this is going to be filling down here. I posted on StockTwits recently basically that I saw a similarity between some of the consolidations that we've been seeing over here, right over here, and also the consolidation from this period right here with this period right here. And I basically was saying that a big move looks like it's brewing with Tesla stock, and you guys knew my bias of which way I thought we'd be breaking. Okay, let's take a look at Palantir stock. We talked about Palantir stock in our last update. We talked about this idea that we thought we were going to break out to the upside of this channel that we've been trading within. And I even posted this because I know that haven't been posting every single day, but if you've been following me on Stocktwoods, you'd be getting these messages basically. And you'd see this that I said that basically tomorrow I think we're gonna be breaking out to the upside. Or so we've been looking for a break to the upside, and tomorrow could be promising. So that's exactly what I happened to say, but that's what I mean. So we can look over here with Palantir stock. And we can see that, in fact, we did break out to the upside. So that's pretty exciting for Palantir stock. And we've been expecting that with the trend in speculative growth plays that we've been seeing. So similar to Tesla in terms of the big move to the upside, definitely. So this is pretty encouraging for Palantir stock. Palantir happens to be my second largest holding at the moment in terms of individual stocks. And don't forget that over here, we can see this gap that we've been expecting price to go to, this $27.53. So we haven't quite tapped that yet. That could also be a area of resistance too, but we can see here we hit $27.01. So I'm still thinking that we're going to fill this gap here. And I also mentioned that we do have a technical move that could potentially take us all the way to potentially 30. So we are watching 30 as well. And even with 30, then we also have this gap over here that we could be filling. So these are the next interesting areas for Palantir stock. And lastly, with ARKK, we can see that we expected price to hit this line of resistance. And in fact, we hit spot on this line of resistance. And in addition to hitting this line of resistance, it looks like we are kind of bouncing off of it a little bit. So this is a huge important thing to be paying attention to, for especially for retail folks who are into more speculative growth plays. Basically, we failed to get above this several times. So we had some false breakouts. So we could potentially have a false breakout above this over here. Just be aware of that. But basically what we have here is we have a ton of bags being held under here. And this is a huge area of resistance. That is going to be an area of resistance, which was once an area, obviously, of support. So this has huge implications. And the implications here is if we don't break above this line here, this is just simply a relief rally and potentially more downside in the future for this stock. So that's just something to be paying attention to. And so we don't know which one it is yet. Is this a true move to the upside, and are we going to break out? And if we do happen to break out, we could even see higher highs even. That wouldn't be so surprising at some point, maybe even later this year or next year. But the question is, if we can't basically reclaim this line here, and again, not only just going above it in these cases, so we have to really break above this line, maybe have a weekly close above this line, have full candles start to close above this trend line here. So I'll be watching this definitely, because this has broader implications of other stocks like Palantir, like Tesla, some other stocks that we're watching. And I hope you guys got some value from this content. Again, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. This is just some random guy on YouTube drawing some stick figure lines on a chart talking to you guys.